In Luke chapter 10, Jesus, in verse 1, after these things the Lord appointed other 70 also, and sent them 2 and 2 before his face. Oh, they must have looked like the number 11. 2. Let's get another group of 2, right? And the 2 actually become 1, don't they? They work in accord and harmony with each other, sent by the Lord. Pretty cool. He sent them 2 before his face. Whoa, they came and they see his face. And he looks in their eyes and says, I send you. Oh, and if he sends you, that means he just fully equipped you. He doesn't send you empty and say, hey, listen, go take care of this stuff and, find the tools necessary to... No, he equips you. So he sends them 2 by 2 before his face into every city and place, whither he himself would come. Whither means where. So where he himself would come, see? He's going to be there too. He says in verse 3, go your ways, behold, I send you forth as lambs among wolves. Oh boy, lots of wolves, lots of wolves. Some of them even put on lamb costumes. But you unzip that costume, or that costume unzips itself, or maybe that costume falls apart, or maybe there's a hole in it and you can, wait, there's something in there. That's not a lamb, that's a wolf. You don't need to be scared. You don't need to be scared, right? No, you don't. He's with you. He's in you. You're fully armored. He says in verse 16, he that heareth me, and he that despiseth you, despiseth me. And he that despiseth me, let me just read it in English, modern day. He that hears you, and this is akuo, it's the kind of hearing that has been received. Akoe is you hear it, you're listening to it, but akuo means you've now received that word. It's sank in. So he that hears you, hears me. He that despises you, despises me. It's pretty serious stuff. Let me tell you what this means. Hold on. I got to get my glasses. I wrote the meaning of the Greek words that are written here. Man, I got to get going. Got to go to work. Despises is atheteo, right? Atheteo. It even has that word anathemize in it. That's kind of like a little bit of a curse. People that curse, or reject and despise. Reject, despise. Touch a little bit of a curse on there too. I curse that thing that you're saying. I curse it. I curse what you're teaching. I curse you now. I curse you, right? I despise you. Jesus, you're despising the Lord, especially if the Lord is giving the person the wisdom to speak his word, to touch the sick, to go out and do what the Lord's commissioned them to do. And here you are despising and spreading your gossipy stuff, right? It's pretty serious stuff, you guys. It's going on. It's going on. Don't be shocked. If you start a YouTube channel, watch what happens. There's wolves that are watching everything you do, and they put on a sheep costume. I'm not going to tell you who the wolves are. That's for you to see by the Spirit, right? He says, verse 17, and the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through your name. The devils, daemonian is the Greek word for devil. Daemonian, do you hear demon in there? Evil spirit is what daemonian means, evil spirit. And Jesus says, verse 18, he says to them, I beheld Satan as lightning falling from heaven. Satan, satanas in Greek, meaning the adversary or the opponent. And opponents come in very different, many forms. Jesus gave it a name, Satan, but there are many Satans or adversaries or opponents. Wouldn't you agree? Don't hate people. Hate that spirit that uses people. I said in a video before, I don't hate dogs. I love dogs. But when they bark at night when I'm trying to sleep, I hate that noise. I love the noise if I'm coming home from work and I got this dog that loves me to come home and greet me and barking. That's pleasant to my ears. I always love the dog. It's just that sometimes this dog makes some noise at an inappropriate time, and I hate that noise, but sometimes it makes a noise at the proper time. I love the utterance that comes forth from its mouth. Yeah, we all will say some things, don't we? See, we can say some things at the right time, right place. Sometimes, we say the wrong stuff, don't we? But there are people that use this wicked spirit and they call it a righteous spirit, but really it's not. And what they do is watch every single thing you say. And that is their job, they think, to now take what you say and expose it. And expose it. And expose it. And then what happens is now you're afraid to even say anything anymore. And so you just stop. I'm going to give up on this YouTube thing, man. I'm going to give up. Lord, I got people hating on me now and spreading gossip and lies and all this stuff. And they say, no, it's the truth. Listen, you said it. Oh, boy. So the message is not only hated, but now the messenger is hated as well. That's too bad for you. Especially if you say that you preach the gospel of grace, but you yourself don't know nothing about it. You just know their words in the Bible. And you preach those words in the Bible and you quote the scripture as much as you can because you memorize it, and you quote it as much as you can. They're just empty words. Grace is filled, but is it filled in you? Oh yeah, I believe Jesus. Yeah, okay, good. Is it coming up and bubbling forth out of you? Or are you grabbing hold of like lightning, grabbing hold of that lightning and throwing it at somebody, that lightning called Satan, the opponent, the accuser, the adversary, and throwing it at the person that is a believer and believes in that same gospel of grace as you, but maybe you don't like their word and you don't like that messenger, so you take your lightning bolt and strike them. Don't try to catch Satan. Don't try to catch that lightning bolt and use it to throw at God's children. Are you kidding me? Man, I wish you guys... for those who have ears to hear, for those that haven't become so calloused that they cannot receive an anointed word, I pray for you. I pray for you, you lost child. Don't worry. You get lost, the Lord will come find you. You go astray, the Lord will come find you. But being lost, being astray is not no fun place to be in. You'll live in fear. You'll wonder, my God, why have you abandoned me? No, you abandoned, you left. But he loves you. He loves you. Now check it out. I want to ask you a question. Everybody, ready? So Satan, you no more in heaven, right? You have no place here. In your spirit, your heaven in you. There ain't no Satan. Gone. Forever. Ha! Why are you letting him in your mind? Tell you what, you got the Spirit in you now. That Spirit's your identity. But that dude out there, he doesn't want you to know that. He's trying to get in your head. Some of you aren't taking what you have and kicking them out of the garden of your mind. The garden of your mind. Oh yeah, your heaven is heaven, but you got a garden. Gardens are a place where weeds can grow. The serpent, how'd he sneak his way into the garden? In Genesis. Wait, this is the garden. What's the serpent doing there, right? Don't you think Adam had the authority to say, go outside the garden now? This is my home, not yours. Yes, he did. Yes, he did, but he granted the serpent the authority of that garden. It's your place now, dude. You rule here. You rule here. You tell the you say truth. I know good and evil now, just like you said. But what you didn't promise is that I'll keep on living. Said I positively shall not die. I'm still here. Maybe you're right. Wait, maybe you're right. Wait, I'm still here. No, what the Lord said in Hebrew is the process of dying will begin the day you partake. That's the Hebrew. That serpent isn't supposed to have access to your garden, but we let him in all the time. Now, when I talk about serpent, I want to just talk about evil. I want to talk about weeds. I really like using the illustration of weeds because I get it. I grew up around weeds. San Diego, by the way, we have ocean everywhere, but it's a dry place. But people call it paradise. But since it's a dry place, it has to be watered, right? Because we don't get a whole bunch of rain here. Weeds grow rapidly in dry places. Jesus even said that when somebody is released from an evil spirit, and let's just talk about this. Let's just say when a weed is pulled out of your mind, your garden, and it is thrown out, that weed is looking for a place where it can rest again. It wants to be planted in your head. It got cast out. How dare you remove me? I like that garden, so I'm going to go back. And guess what? Since it's such a dry place, I'm going to take a bunch of my weed friends with me, and we're going to go get planted in that garden. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. My amazing, 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 amazing friend, who I dearly, dearly, dearly care so much about, told me this in a conversation just last night. I want to drench you with waters. I want to be like a monsoon of waters for your mind. Because my mind was under attack last night. I wasn't failing or caving in to the enemy or letting him in. But there was a war. There was a war. Quenching fiery missiles from the enemy. The weeds were wanting to get in there. And this person really, really drenched my mind. Spirit into my mind. Oh, it's so good to have believers, you guys, fellow believers, that you can talk to and be upbuilt by one another. This camera looks like it's fallen a little bit. Let's put it back up a tiny. Yep, and straighten it out a little. All right. Do you know when you thoroughly drench, if you were to soak soil, soak it, do you know how much easier it is to pull weeds from soil that is thoroughly drenched? The weeds just uproot so easy. But if it's a dry place, have you ever pulled weeds in a dry place like here? You know, I grew up doing that. We had a couple acres of property, and I had to pull weeds because San Diego's it's a fire hazard to have weeds all over the place. They burn up so much easy, and it's like their seeds go on fire and spread and float around. It's just terrible. So what you want to do is pull weeds out by the root. If you just do surface chopping, like so many people do. I went to church on Sunday. There was a surface chopping weed. But when you went there, did you get the root, that weed by the root pulled out? Right? I'm going to tell you what. I'm not going to speak against medication. I don't want to speak against medication. Hold on. Oh boy. Okay. I don't want to speak against somebody taking medication or anything like that, you know what? But I'm just going to tell you something. A weed, let's go back. Evil spirit. Do you think depression's a good one to make an illustration about this? Do you think depression is something of spirit? We have what Jesus calls wicked spiritual wicked forces of darkness, right? So depression, can you see how maybe it's some kind of like spiritual wicked force that's trying to press you down all the time? Depress, no, it's almost like it should be called compression, right? Compression. But we call it depression. So can you see something spiritual there? I'm not saying if you have depression you're wicked or anything, but can you see that depression never came from heaven in you? So if you are a believer and depression is in here, let me ask you this: is depression an emotion or a feeling? You can have depressive feelings, but if you suffer depression, you can have high moments, you can have your low moments, you can have happy times, you can eat fun foods to eat, and it's just kind of taking care of the surface of that depression. But you understand this: if you suffer depression, the root is there still. You might have whacked it off by the surface, but the root's still there. It wasn't uprooted. Can you see something spiritually attacking you? Can you see the spiritual? And do you know, let me ask you this, going back to medication. Is medication, and I'm not putting it down, I'm not even saying stop, because maybe, it's easing it, right? It's surface cleaning, so you don't, those weeds, it's cutting the surface, but it doesn't take care of the root, does it? Medication is not the one that drives depression out by the root. It just helps you to deal with it, to cope, medicate it for a while. But the root of it, no pill destroys it by the root. Oh yes, we can make that pill to destroy it by the root. I don't think so. I think it's something very spiritual. And I think it takes spirit to get rid of spirit. And so if that is wicked spirit in you, that weed that's just seems to be just spreading. So weeds, they grow rapidly. How are they getting there? Didn't I just uproot weeds? Well, there's another one. They want to come back because this is a dry place. Remember, dry places, they grow in dry places. So what do? You need to cultivate that garden of your mind. Cultivate it. Uproot the weeds. Nourish the soil. Drench the soil. Water that soil daily. Take from who you are inside, what you have inside, and nourish it. Nourish it. Have you kicked Satan out of the garden of your mind? He's been kicked out of your heaven for sure. But have you kicked him out of the garden of your mind? Do you have that authority? Do you have that authority? Because let me tell you, the authority is spirit. Wicked spirit don't kick out wicked spirit. Wicked spirit welcomes wicked spirit. Come on, guys. Weeds welcome more weeds. Get in here. Come on, dry place. You want a wetland in here? You want your garden soil to be filled with waters? It takes spirit. It takes Christ. Or in Hebrew, Mashiach. Mashiach in here, in your heaven, you can bring the heavenlies to your earthlies, your mind. The heavenlies into your garden, right? As it is in heaven, so too let it be here on earth, in your mind, in your garden. Christ come up in your garden. Mashiach come up in your garden. Rivers of living waters come up in your garden. Those weeds have no right to be there in the first place. And if they do sneak their way in there, you pull them out and you keep that garden filled with waters. You are not a dry place. Spirit can't get in your heaven. Satan can't get in your heaven, right? Cancer can't get in your heaven. Depression can't get in your heaven. Doesn't exist here. But they want rights to get in here. And if they have, we need to pull them out. Pull them out. Right? And it's so easy if your garden's a wetland. What? How did you get here? Be gone. Depression? Did you try to sneak your way back into my mind? I pulled you out by the root. You coming back? I thought I got you by the root. Did I just do surface stuff? Well, let's just cast you out right now. You have that authority. Go! That's all you need to say. I'm going to end it here because I got to go. So 11:56, according to my clock in my car. 5 and 6 is 11. 11. Okay, you guys, I love you. God bless you, and I'll see you all in the next video.